All right. Talk about Venn diagrams today. We're going to do get a little bit of stuff with this and kind of relate it to what we've already been doing. So Venn diagrams are circle charts. You might have used bubble maps in one of your history classes or an English class or something like that. But a Venn diagram is kind of a mathematical application of circle charts and given the shape and the overlap of the circles, depending on what's happening there. So in the first box, we have one larger circle that represents like a set Q, and then the smaller circle inside represents like a set P. So an example of this would be like classifying numbers, where if you think of the larger circle as the integers, what could be the smaller circle that's inside of the integers? Whole numbers. So what that implies by this circle is that if I pick a whole number, number 7, does that fall inside of the integer circle too? Yes. So what that does is it's an implication that if you're part of P, then that implies that you're part of Q when the Venn diagram looks like that. So if you fall into the smaller circle inside, then you automatically fall into the larger circle with that. So it's an implication of belonging there. So all the elements in P are elements of Q. And then on the second box there, we have a more typical overlapping Venn diagram. That's the one we're used to seeing the most, that you've got two sets that when it's this upper box here is trying to say, okay, the whole picture with both circles all together would be the OR situation. So P or Q. The football shape in the middle, the overlapping of those would be what? And Q. Some of the elements of P are elements of Q. So the Venn diagram for that would look like two overlapping circles. And then the last one is the case where you have two sets in which nothing is common between them. Okay, so like geometry third block and geometry fourth block. There's no overlap between those. Nobody has both of those classes. So there's no overlap with that. So no relationship between P and Q there. So we can't write any statements there. So no relationship between those when they're separate like that. All right, let's go down there to these situations. And we want to draw a Venn diagram that would kind of show that situation. So number 1 says some students who take chorus also take band. That's possible this year. Chorus is 4th block and band is 5th block. But the situation said some students who take chorus also take band. So that implies what is happening here? You've got some that are overlapping that are taking both, right? So what kind of picture should it be? Yeah, the sometimes the one in the middle there. So a circle and another circle overlapping there. So this, we'll call the one on the left the chorus and the one on the right the band. But they overlap there. So the Venn diagram for that is the overlapping circles. Number 2 says no perfect squares are primes.
That's the no never.
Yeah, that's the no never. That's two separate circles. So you've got perfect squares, and I'm just abbreviating there, and then we got primes. So no perfect squares are prime numbers. So those don't overlap. So they're separate circles. Number 3 says numbers divisible by 6 are also divisible by 3.
That's the always.
That's the always. So that's the circle inside the circle. So which one's the big circle and which one's the little circle? That's Say it again. So there are more numbers that are divisible by 6 than there are numbers that are divisible by 3.
No, there's more numbers divisible in 3 than there are 6.
Right.
So 3 is the big one.
3 is the big one. So the big circle is divisible by 3. The smaller one is divisible by 6. Why? What's it take to be divisible by 6? Gotta be a multiple of 6. You think about divisibility rules. Y'all remember doing those in junior high? Where how you look at a number and tell it's divisible by 3.
You add it.
You add all the digits up, and then to see if the number is divisible by 2, what's it got to end?
Even.
It's got to end in an even number. To be divisible by 6, the rule is it's got to be divisible by 2 and 3. And that makes it a multiple of 6. And so the divisibility rule for 6 is divisible by 3 and 2. So you don't really have to check 6. You got to check 3 and 2, which are pretty easy tests that you get out of that. Number 4 says every natural number is a whole number. Always. So that's the circle inside the circle. Which one's the big circle? Whole numbers is the big circle. And the smaller circle would have to be the natural. Yes. In a situation when it's asking you to draw the Venn diagram fitting that situation, just a statement, yes, do label them. Yeah. So that we know which one is what. Number 5, some vertical angles are complementary. So now we're asking when we're going to get back to real geometry. We're kind of working geometry in here as we're doing this. It's just kind of sneaking it in a little bit at a time. Okay, so the sometimes one is the overlapping circles. And one of the circles just needs to be vertical angles. And the other one is complementary angles. And the overlap in the middle there is what the same. Number 6, irrational numbers are never rational numbers. That's the never one, which is the 2 separate circles, where one is irrational. What's the abbreviation for irrational? Y'all remember? Capital I. And for rational? Nope. Nope.
One of them. It's a weird.
Q. Q. It's the weird one. Why is it Q? Why did I tell you guys it was Q? The ones that have for altitude.
Because real numbers is R, and you can't do R.
Yeah, you can't use R again. And rational numbers are usually written like what? Fractions, right? And fractions is a quotient, so that's why they use a Q for that. So, but capital I for irrational numbers, Q for rational numbers. If you wrote the words in there, I'm good with that. Just trying to bring up some things that you might have remembered from the past. All right. Number 7 says shade the indicated region in the Venn diagram. So we're going to take a Venn diagram that's already drawn and shade what the statement says. And it doesn't really even matter what P and Q stand for. It's based on just the logic of the statements. Okay, so number 7 has an and or the sum and sometimes Venn diagram there, and they want us to shade Q. So what do we shade?
Just the Q. You don't shade the middle, but there's that close up, right? Or would you shade the middle too?
Well, what is it asking for? Things that are in what?
Q.
Q. Are the things in that middle piece in Q?
Yeah.
Yes. So then I'm going to shade both of them. The whole circle Q. Because those elements that are in that middle piece are part of Q. They happen to be part of P as well, but they're part of Q, and that's all it asked for was all the things that are part of Q. So we're shading in the Q there, and I'm just using a highlighter there. If you want to, just kind of shade like that, that's fine too. Just using that so we can still see what's going on there. All right, number 8, right there beside it, P, and then what's that statement say? And. Where's the and? In the middle. Is that football shape in the middle? And is that stuff. In the middle. Or is the next one. P or Q.
P and Q is not the middle, right?
Is it the middle? What does it take to be in one group or the other? What's it take to make an or statement true?
One of them has to be.
Just one of them has to be true. So if we're looking at in geometry or English 2, Mr. Walls, during third block, then you just have to be in one of them, but it encompasses both your group and whoever's sitting in Mr. Walls' classroom. So every bit of it, both circles completely. Even the middle, yes. See, I don't like coloring. I'm not coloring. My oldest doesn't like coloring either. Not a fan of it. The youngest colors all the time. Draws pictures. Got a box in from UPS the other day. He said, "Can I draw on that?" Sure. He had an art box for a day or two there where you just draw pictures everywhere there's a white spot. All right. Now, getting into some of the symbols that we just quizzed over. P and
Negative Q.
Not Q. Negative Q, not Q, meaning the same thing there. So that what does that mean? That it's in P and it's not in Q.
So you just do P in the middle?
Do you not do the middle because it's saying it's not in Q? So the middle part is that overlap. So they're in P and Q. We can't have the overlap in the middle. So our coloring should only be the part outside of that crescent shape on the left. I'm trying not to color in there. I'm going to change. That should be what's colored in there. It's a little better. Okay. So think about what the statement means and then color the appropriate region out of that. So those are fun things. I think they're kind of fun. Now, we're going to take a picture and then write the statement that goes with it. So describe each diagram using a conditional or compound statement. So an if-then or an and or statement. One of those. So acute angles is the larger circle, and angles that measure 60 degrees are the smaller circle. So okay, if angles measure 60 degrees, I said angles and didn't write. So if, and I'm going to show you a little abbreviation for angles. Make a little angle symbol and apostrophe S. So that's angles. Measure 60 degrees, then they are acute angles. Excuse me. Okay. Number 12, similar picture, dogs and beagles. If an animal is a what, then it is a what. So which one goes in the front and which goes in the hypothesis, which goes in the construction?
Beagles.
If an animal, if an animal is beagle and is a name a famous beagle. I know. Famous beagle. Very famous. And cartoons all over the world.
I just think of the food.
Rose? No, that's not that. Cockroach.
No.
Underdog.
The famous beagle. That's dog.
It's the underdog.
Underdog, is he a beagle? Okay. Name another one. Who?
No, he's a blue jay.
No, they're not supposed to blue to count.
What's a beagle even look like? Oh, Daisy.
Oh, no, she don't blue.
You don't remember
They're
Daisy?
short, they're usually black. Black. They have short ears.
Yeah,
Goofy?
they have long ears, right?
No, Goofy's not a beagle.
I don't know.
Snoopy.
Snoopy.
Snoopy was a beagle. Snoopy was a beagle.
Well, I think they were just
There's several times in Charlie Brown that they refer to Snoopy as a you crazy beagle. You should. You learn a lot from Charlie Brown.
You watch Charlie Brown Christmas Eve?
We watch it several times every year. My son loves Charlie Brown, so we watch Charlie Brown a lot. All right, number 13. We got a nice little picture there. We got volleyball and then piano lessons.
P and U, that would symbol.
Okay. Let's write a statement for that. Also, so this is an and, right? So some people play volleyball. And piano lessons. I wish I took piano lessons. That's a good thing to do. I don't have the time. All right, 14. You got this little Venn diagram. On the left circle, it's months with 31 days. What months have 31 days?
All of them.
No.
Wait, I got it. 30 days in November, April, May, and December. So all of them.
Absolutely wrong.
I don't know. I
was wondering if anybody knew the numbers.
7 months.
What's the number?
7, which 7?
It's January.
All right, so January has 31 days. March has 31 days. May has 31 days. July and August. October and December. So 7 of them have 31 days. And then months that start with J. So of those 7 that Jacob mentioned for us, how many of them start with J? January and July. Okay, so 2 of those. But the circle, what part's shaded? The months with 31 days and that aren't, that don't start with J. So we need to describe that situation. So that's a good way to describe.
31 days that do not start with J.
Months with 31 days and do not start with J. A lot of common knowledge stuff, guys, that comes up when you're talking about Venn diagrams. So you may have to do a little learning if you don't know some of the basic things of life. I'm sure there's a lot of things I don't know, but number 15 says art class and freshman, and it's colored in on the right hand side. So say it louder. Yeah, freshmen who don't take art class, that could be freshmen. Do not. I'm gonna write out do not so we see the not in there. Take art That's one way to say it. You could also say students who are freshmen and do not take art class, but it's saying the same thing essentially there. So you could use the word and in there if you want. 16.
Numbers that are multiple of 7 and even numbers.
No. Everything's colored in. Look back at the ones we've done earlier where we colored it in and everything was colored. It's or, so it's numbers that are multiples of 7. Yeah, and is this that little sliver that's in the middle? Numbers that are multiples. Of 7 or. Okay. All right, let's get into my favorite kind is where they actually put some numbers and things in there. So you got a little bit more specific data instead of kind of reaching up in the clouds trying to find what to talk about. So a little bit more information here. Number 1 says the Venn diagram below shows the number of senior boys who play football or wrestle. And then how many senior boys play football and wrestle? 9. Okay. Number 1. A is 9. B says how many senior boys play football but do not wrestle? 18. How many senior boys play football or wrestle? How'd you get that? Add the 18, the 12, and the 9. That's good. Good job. And then how many more senior boys wrestle? Or how many, not how many more, but how many senior boys wrestle? 21. Because some of them wrestle and play football. What's this 104 out here outside of the circles? Is it? It's senior boys who don't do either of those things. Okay? The entire senior boys group would be the 104, the 18, the 9, and the 12. So if it's outside of the circles, that means it's not part of those groups. It's kind of a separate group. Okay? The big box is the whole senior boys group. And then 104 people don't play football or wrestle. And then you've got the football players, the wrestlers, and then those that do both in the middle is how the Venn diagrams are written there. Number 2, A part. How many people are signed up for yoga class? I heard 2 answers. 92 because yoga is 68, and then there's people that did yoga and aerobics. 92. How many people are signed up for yoga or aerobics? 181. Add it all up. How many people are signed up for aerobics but not yoga? 89. That's the easy stuff. And then how many people belong to this gym? Nope. Got to add everything in the picture up. So 575 plus 68 plus 24 plus 89. 756. Thank you. I'll do that in my head. Again, remember, the number that's outside that's in the box is not the total. It's the ones that don't fit in the circles. Careful of that. Number trace. 8th grade students who have a smartphone or a tablet in that diagram there. How many students have a smartphone and a tablet? 58. Easy stuff. How many students do not have a smartphone or a tablet? Don't have a smartphone or a tablet. 117. That's the people that are outside of the circle. They don't fit into either one. 117, not 77. There we go. How many 8th grade students are there? 320. Got that by adding everything in the picture up. How many students have a tablet? 87. Add the tablet only and the overlap. And then E, how many students have a smartphone but not a tablet? 116, straight out of the Venn diagram there. All right. Ooh, number 4. 3-circle Venn diagram. We got overlaps of all 3, and then we got overlaps of 2 at a time. Out of that, so a lot going on there. So Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are what we're discussing here with sophomores. How many sophomores just have a Facebook account? 124. Agree with that. How many have a Twitter or Instagram?
Would you add all of them? Or would you just put 6?
Everything but 124.
Everything but the 124 and technically the 28 that's out here. That's right. And that's where Haley's getting a number 209. Is that what you said? That's what that should be. 209. So everything but that 124 that's in a circle adds up because all of those numbers are Twitter and Instagram numbers. All right. See how many sophomores have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. Got to have all 3. Only 21 people have all 3. This little center kind of blown up triangle is kind of like what it looks like. That is the overlap of all 3. 21. D, how many students do not have a Twitter account? Where are you getting that from?
When you add the 34 plus 55 plus 124, because those are the only things that don't have Twitter.
And what else? And the 28 that don't have any of them. Don't forget that. So that's going to give us how much? 241. So yes, you add up those 3 and then that one together. Get that 241. All right. E, how many students do not have a Facebook and Instagram account? 285. That's the right number.
Wow.
Do not have a Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook and Instagram is those folks, and those are adding up everything that's not in those. Easy stuff. Easy stuff. All right. Again, a 3-circle Venn diagram. Paris, London, and Dublin. We're dealing with results of cities visited by a group of people on a recent trip to Europe. So A part says, how many people visited Dublin or London? Dublin or London. So you're adding up anything that's in a circle except for which number? Except for 95. So add all those up. 327. That's what I got there. How many people visited London and Paris? I got 88. I got 88 because London and Paris is that little space. It doesn't matter because the only people in the conversation were London and Dublin. It doesn't matter if they or London, was it London and Paris? Dublin just happened. They went to London and Paris. They just happened to have went to Dublin too. But the question asked about London and Paris. If it had said only in front of it, then that would have been the 64. Carson, go ahead.
What is 78 go to?
That's people didn't go to any of those 3 cities. They went somewhere else in Europe, I guess. They went to other cities. That's where that 78 that's hanging out there is at. How many people visited London or Paris? How much? I got bigger than that. I got 346. Because you're adding up everybody that's except for the 76 that's in a circle. The 76 is the only thing you don't add. And the 78. Yeah. You got to be careful. It's so easy to leave things out here. The 76, it says London or Paris, so you're not adding the 76 or the 78. So you're adding everything else that's there. Number part D. How many people visited Dublin and not London? 119. I agree with that. That's what I got. Dublin and not London. So take out the overlap with London and add up the 76 and the 43. That's where that's coming from. And then E part, how many people only visited Dublin? 76. That's the easy one. You don't want to do anything. F, how many people visited Dublin and Paris? 67. Good job. Visited Dublin and Paris, you're adding 43 and 24. And then G part, how many people visited all 3 cities? That's that centerpiece, 24. And H part, how many people visited London? Visited London, you're adding up everything that's in the London circle. I got 208 is what I got. Is that what? 208, yeah. How many people took this survey? 500. Good job. That's just the total of all the numbers on the board. How about that? Easy. All right. I think y'all could do number 6 on your own if you need to, right? I'll go ahead and write the answers for that, just in case you want to check yourself. 27, 126, 33, 59, and 20. So Venn diagrams. My favorite kind are the ones where they give you a Venn diagram and leave some of the numbers out. And that's what makes it really fun. They tell you how many people were involved in the survey, then it leaves the numbers out. You got to figure it out. It went to a bonus. Yeah, go ahead.